Hurry up!
Hey everyone, you're watching Time Attack,
the only video game show on the internet.
and today we have just 15 minutes to discuss Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Kong Quest for the Super Nintendo. So Kyle, I gotta just say right off the bat, this is my absolute favorite Donkey Kong Country game of all
I
time.
think it's most people's.
Really?
We may need to make a video in the future debating this versus Tropical Freeze.
Mm-hmm.
But for the sake of this video, let's
Yeah.
just talk about Super Nintendo games. It's the best one.
So you feel the same way, like in
for
terms
sure.
of the Super Nintendo?
Yeah, it's easily the best one because it takes everything that was good in Donkey Kong Country and makes it better.
This is like Terminator 2 or one of those other sequels that's
Well,
like better than the first
I
one.
don't want to
which
get
is so
too far
weird.
ahead, but it's like this is almost a perfect parallel to the Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah.
So
Oh, Empire Strikes Back. Yeah.
I believe Dixie Kong, the third one, is the Jedi. we'll talk about that. I'll bring that back up again when we talk about that one. So in this game, we should describe for anyone who doesn't know.
Yeah.
It's the sequel, Donkey Kong Country, direct
Yes.
sequel. This time you play as Diddy Kong as the star,
Yeah.
trying to rescue Donkey Kong from the clutches of Captain K. Rool,
Yeah.
who's the same as King K. Rool,
Rool.
but now with a pirate hat.
Mhm.
And along with him for the ride is Dixie Kong, who, if you thought Diddy was better than Donkey Kong, Dixie Kong blows Diddy Kong away.
Yeah, pretty much.
He's easy mode.
Yeah.
Or at least as easy as this game can get, because that's the thing I like about this one. It ramps up the difficulty in almost in a perfect way.
Yeah.
It's definitely by default harder, and if that's not hard enough, go for 100%, or rather 102%.
Well, yeah, just like I find like the bonus levels just mesh so well into the level design.
Yep.
I don't feel like that's like where you're supposed to go, and like you're supposed to get all these secrets, and it just feels like a very good flow.
Mhm.
They get so creative. I had to look up one, find those big DK coins.
Yeah.
They hid one of those DK coins inside of a bonus level, and I remember thinking about like, they can't do that.
Isn't that
Yup,
cheating?
They did. They did, and I love how creative they came up with, like, just the level design, hiding secrets. And when I say perfect, I mean complete. It's just so complete. It's just in that sense. It's got everything.
That's a
in
funny
there.
word to throw around, but I may agree. It may be a perfect video game.
Yeah, it does it so well. And it's so weird how that this theme of pirates is involved.
Yeah.
And you'd think like something gimmicky might clash with something to make it like great, but it's like, I don't know. It's just it's
adds,
fantastic.
It's
so
the perfect
well.
fresh coat of paint they need to add, right? Because like
Oh yeah,
in retrospect, the Kremlings in the first game do have a slight kind of military theme to
yeah,
them.
they do. Yeah,
So it's like, okay, it's kind of cool now that they're, well, it's almost like military / Roman. Like it's not quite, because there's a king and the Kremlings have like body armor on, like it almost looks like Greek body armor, Roman or something, right?
Oh yeah, a little
Whereas
bit. But
in this one, it's perfectly cohesive, right?
Definitely.
Even the birds are pirates, you know, the Neckies.
yeah,
And it's neat to see like a lot of the same enemies come back, but they've been redressed. So they almost feel new.
there's a lot more variety of them as well.
Yep.
They're not just the color paint. Sometimes their animations will change, or their patterns.
And even just giving like the basic Kremlings like a peg leg and like the sound design with that and the creaking of the boats you're on. It just kind of comes together, and then the music obviously is like, if you thought the soundtrack was good in the first game,
Holy crap.
this may be one of the greatest soundtracks of all time.
And it's so weird because it's like, again, it's ambiance. You know, like you can just sit down and you feel like you're on this boat. This boat that stretches for like ever, like because the level is it's not land you're walking on. You're walking on a boat, but who cares? It's just fun running on this thing. Oh, like I haven't played this in maybe years, and I started playing it, and I remember how much I love this game and how important it is, like to me as a gamer, and my history with video games. It's very special.
I can't believe you went years. I play this like every couple of months, not the whole game, but I'll pop it and do a couple levels. Like it's great.
Oh, it's well, I don't mind because it just makes the experience all that much more memorable because it's been so long. But, wow.
But we should elaborate. Like so one, level design is like the first game had some decent kind of ideas here and there. This one like goes above and beyond. Just like, okay, so you have like the slime tower where the slime slowly rise and you keep above
and
it.
It's slime, but it looks like water.
Yeah, you got the hot air balloon one, which I don't love replaying because it's slow, but it's a cool gimmick where you gotta find the gusts.
As a child playing this, it was so like rewarding to finally figure out how to do this.
Yep.
And it was like just that perfect level of challenge where it's just like, I could do it. How do I get that? I remember like times of getting stuck. Like, oh man.
Unless you got Dixie, you got a little bit of advantage there.
Oh yeah.
For most of it, you don't even need the balloon till the very end, and then that last stretch you need it.
Mm-hmm.
But like you just keep going, right? Like then you got like, okay, so you got the roller coasters. They're different ones too. Like it's not just you're on a minecart because it's the equivalent of a minecart stage. But it's like there's always a gimmick. There's one where you're racing the guys. Mm-hmm. There's the one where you have to like collect those barrels to stop the monster from materializing.
Yeah, the haunted house one. Yeah. Oh, and that music, that anxiety building from that. And then dodging all the things that would reduce the time before the transformation occurs. Oh, the sound design, and I'm not just saying the music, the sound design is just it meshes so well with the music and what's going on. Like, I'm trying to think of...
a good example is the ghost rope level. Where the it's like burned in my mind.
Oh, there's some of that stuff that's burned in my mind too. Like, I was thinking of like when that monster comes out of the barrel.
Oh yeah. It's always echoey.
Just so much of that, and so many different like monsters.
Very satisfying sounds when you kill guys. Like I really like killing those Cat O' Nine Tails. Where it's like boom.
Oh, dude! Like the environments are fantastic because it's very creative. Like we go from a pirate ship, but we're going in different places with that pirate ship. We're going like underneath the decks, in the water, flooding.
The top sails.
Then we're going into lava. We're going into crystal caverns. We're going into a swamp.
Into the den of the greatest enemy of all time, the beehive.
Oh yeah,
like,
the beehive.
The bees, man. Like
I love that
ever since the first game, those bees are the toughest enemies. They're dangerous, right?
And now we're going
now you're right into the hives. Oh,
and the music goes so well. It's so grand. It builds over time. You don't feel comfortable. That was one thing that really stood out for me with this game. Playing it again, when you play Donkey Kong Country, it's very relaxing, chill. You're just going to the next level. This game, when you're on the map. It's very tense, the music.
I forget where I've read this, but you're almost touching on this point. It's not my point, but I like it, is that like...
Stop the clock. We need a few seconds to talk about today's sponsor. Gallisto is the trusted marketplace for collectors. It doesn't matter if it's video games, action figures, comics, or cards. If it's collectible, you'll find it on Gallisto. Available through the App Store or Google Play, Gallisto is the perfect tool for both buyers and sellers. Users and listings are always verified, and the service offers some of the lowest selling fees on the market. Not only that, you can use the app to scan collectibles you own or things you're interested in buying. It's a marketplace and an online collection rolled into one. Talk about handy. But hey, don't take my word for it. Head over to Gallisto.com and see for yourself.
It's very tense, the music.
I forget where I've read this, but you're almost touching on this point. It's not my point, but I like it, is that like in the first game, you're on Donkey Kong's home turf fighting off the invader. Now you're on their home turf, so it should be more like intimidating.
It is. It feels intimidating. The music is not comfortable. In a lot of the levels,
well, it's some of it's comfortable.
Like Sticker Bush.
Ironically, one of the toughest levels. The first level's not too tough. The barrel maze.
Yeah.
But later on, I forget what it's called. The one in the theme park that actually.
With Squawky or whatever flying around.
No, I'm talking about this. There's like 3 of those levels. The second one's the toughest one. Bramble Scramble. That's what it's called. A little bit memory loss there.
Yeah, would you say there's a bit of juxtaposition? Because you kind of have this, but it's
obviously intentional, yeah.
Yeah, there's almost like a transcendent, philosophical kind of existentialism music playing while you're in the sky with all these vines that could kill you. I don't know. It's trippy.
Yeah, it's a very dangerous place. Especially that second one where you're climbing on vines, they're shooting cannons at you.
But you're always safe generally if you're in the barrel. But it's like and you don't have to press the barrel on it, like, you know.
That's what I'm saying, the second one, because the Bramble Scramble doesn't have a ton of, if I'm thinking, is that the right name? Gosh, I'll correct myself later if I'm wrong, but the one I'm thinking of, there's a little bit of barrel stuff, but you're mostly climbing on vines. And that one's really tough. And then, I think it squawks by the end. You're like coughing nuts out at the the zingers.
I you know, looking at the background for some of these stages, specifically the like Crimland, I think it's called.
Oh, yeah, Crazy Crimland, yeah.
Crazy Crimland. I'd love to see it re-rendered, like where you can see everything in detail. Like the ideas they had were pretty big, and they could only like demonstrate that so well. You know, that's my ultimate dream project.
If the material still exists, the pre-rendered 3D models, just re-render them out at maximum resolution, and drop it HD on Switch. Maybe all three if we're lucky. That would be amazing. Yeah, it's too good to be true, so it'll never be real. Well, it could happen. You never know. Like anything is possible. Just want to give a shout out to, like, there's a guy, I can't remember his name. I'll maybe put it on the screen here. He's remaking all of the Donkey Kong Country music, but like on the original electronic tools that David Wise used when developing it. So it sounds very similar to what we hear in Super Nintendo, but like you can hear all the fullness of it, and it's just, there was just so much detail put into the soundtrack. You know? It's another thing too, where like, okay, so like the soundtrack, the atmosphere, the graphics, everything's even better somehow than the first, but even the gameplay, I think, unfortunately, by removing Donkey Kong, they improved it a lot too, because it's so much faster now. It's faster. I love just like climbing when you're on ropes. Yeah. Just going, just like with Diddy, and just moving Diddy around. Is faster than Dixie, and just jumping, hitting on enemies. Like they might have did that a couple times in Donkey Kong Country. Here it's like every level you're doing You're rolling up chains of them. Oh, yeah. Oh, like the rats. Oh, the rats on like one of the second or third level. Yeah, just like it's like, let's do 20 of them in a row, just for fun, you know? But then also another thing I like, the big change was in the first game, when you're in the water, you're in the water. In this game, there's no water level really. Maybe there's a couple of them, but like for the most part, the water levels are like water and land. Yes. A good example being the one with Clapper, where you gotta like jump on his back, and he like turns the lava into water. And then you gotta race through and get back on the land. There's a little bit of land stuff again. It's all, there's a lot going on. It's never like simple. Like it's simple to some degree, but like it's complex. There's a lot of different layers. And this one really developed what I kind of call like the Donkey Kong formula. The first one has it a little bit, but like this one will have like a level with a new gimmick you've never seen before, and it's kind of easy. Like it's more complicated, and that's basically their level design principle, is just make it more and more complicated, and by the end it's almost like you almost can't help but to laugh because how absurd the challenges become, right? Where it's like, oh, you gotta jump on this guy and do that, and then like, well, now you gotta jump on him, and then there's like a bunch of stuff in your way, and then by the end it's like you gotta do a million things. It's like the hardest version. Well, they're really pushing how the game works. Like even small things, like there's two barrels pointing in opposite directions really close to each other, and you're supposed to like hold back to the right of the opposite direction you're swinging, so that you pull yourself into the other barrel and then push yourself forward. It really calls for you to master the controls and understand the mechanics and but that's what I'm saying, which I love. Every level almost seems to give you a new mechanic, and you usually don't really need that mechanic later on, or if it comes back, it's different. Like say you got the croc heads in the lava, you jump on them, and some will bump, and some will like send you up. Yeah, and then they do come back, but they're totally different. When they come back, there's a timer. Oh, and they go up and down in the swamp. Oh yeah, sometimes there's timers, in the swamp. Or like when you get to the beehive, you gotta learn to cling to walls, right? And you don't really need that as much anymore, but when you're in the beehive, you gotta have that skill. And then like they can go on top of each other. Like Diddy and Dixie have a fun dynamic. Like even on this art here, you can see like Diddy's kind of pushing Dixie away out of the way. That when you switch characters, like Diddy's just like, get out of the way, Dixie. Yeah, or Dixie's instead of being like the older, mature one and his little buddy, now it's like they're equals. They're like siblings that bicker and argue. They're like two of those kids that have to like save the day that don't get along, but kind of are working together. It's like it's a fun dynamic between those two. Yeah. And I'd love to see those two as a Smash Brothers character. You know? Oh, that'd be so cool. Like two ice climbers, but there's Diddy and Dixie. Yeah. Holy crap, that'd be cool. Just give us Dixie. Yeah? Yeah, that's good enough for me. No, more complexity, man. Just like this game. You know, they give us so much more. They added more, you know? Like they didn't have to have them walk on top of each other and fling the one up there, or Dixie swinging her hair. Well, and another thing too, like we can't. Hopefully, we got time. Like I talked to the last boss. I got spoiler, the Captain K. Rule. Okay, so you fight him on the flying croc. Yeah. Probably one of the best fights on Super Nintendo. I wouldn't say the best because I obviously have a Yoshi's Island soft spot.
Yeah.
But no, that's such a challenging fight to learn and master.
Yeah.
And then for those brave enough to get all the coins,
Oh yeah.
you gotta fight him again.
Yeah,
And he's even harder.
Yeah. It was the music again.
Yeah.
The atmosphere. You're on some crazy flying helicopter ship.
Yep.
You know,
When there's a fake out there too, right?
Torturing them.
There is the fake out because you climb all the way up that castle. You
Yep.
see DK, and they just take him away into the.
Yeah.
So it's almost like what they did in the first game, but even bigger because there's a whole world after that. Well, a small world.
It's
but
like it's a big adventure.
it's longer too. There's more levels.
There's more levels. The levels are longer. You're going to just very interesting places. Like I love you're going through a haunted forest, mansion, beehives, swamps.
and that's all in one world.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing, right? It's got the haunted forest, the haunted mansion, the beehive, the non-haunted amusement park.
Mm-hmm.
That's all in Crazy Kremland.
Oh, the haunted theme park is when you get to the haunted
Oh, sorry,
woods.
yeah, you're right. Never mind. I'm getting
But then you got those haunted woods. It's just they're just oozing with all this personality and just fun. It almost even that level, it's very Halloweeny, very fall. There's that level with the wind, with the leaves pushing you.
That one's a little brutal with Diddy. Oh, I hate playing that with Diddy.
Oh yeah, you want Dixie.
Yeah.
You really want Dixie there.
If you want to add more challenge, do a Diddy only run.
It really does feel like it's a living, breathing place. You have all these different creatures there, and again, it's very charming.
I would say
nothing feels like a throwaway.
Oh well, that's all we got.
Man,
for this
one
episode.
of the few times I really wish we had.
You're just gonna have to let it beep out. Oh, you learned.
I learned. Yeah. Well, that's the end of this episode.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, and hey, we got one more up.
Donkey Kong Country 3.
Yeah, Dixie's Double Trouble.
Time over!